Yes, you heard it from me. Your family's wealth will be based on whether you own a home or not. For almost everybody in the United States, that's next. Yes, you heard me right. There are so many people on the sidelines have no clue they will be ever able to afford to buy a house. Yes, they're able to buy now, but there's just not enough homes on the market. I'm going to show you all that today on Real Estate Daily. Welcome everyone. My name is Troy, and every day we go over the latest news in real estate, housing, and the mortgage markets. Now, before we jump into it, hit that like button. Boom, boom. I really would appreciate it. I'm going to give you the best 5 to 10 minutes in real estate on a daily basis. So let's jump right into it. We know we go to first, right guys? We go to the Kobesi letter. Today, the Kobesi letter hits really, really hard. Guys, if you're on X, formerly Twitter, definitely give them a shout out. Go and subscribe and follow them. They're going to give you the best news and best information out there about our economy and about where we're headed. So today, the Kobesi letter says the U.S. now has a record 17.1 trillion in household debt. Wow. Record 12 trillion in mortgages. Record 1.6 trillion in auto loans. Record 1.6 trillion in student debt. Record 1 trillion in credit card debt. We just hit $1 trillion again. It is ridiculous. So let me kind of put it in really layman terms. The US government is in more debt than they ever have been, and the US citizen, on an average, is in more debt than they ever have been. The US government spending is out of control and at the greatest height it's ever been. And the Fed is trying to make sure that the US citizen doesn't do the same. They won't watchdog the government, but they'll watchdog its citizens. Wow, think about that. So let's go a little bit more here. Total mortgage debt is now more than double the 2006 peak. So we've already doubled the last peak. We're not at all-time highs. We are just skyrocketing through. And then it goes over. Meanwhile, 36% of Americans have more credit card debt than savings, while student loan payments are set to resume for the first time in 2020. Just kind of get that feel for this, man. I'm telling you now, anyone that's scared to buy a house is going to get wrecked in the future for their kids, for their kids' kids, for their generational wealth. I will say that over and over. Let's go on the next one. Here we go. The average American credit card balance. So each one of you out there, all 9 million, 100 million, I should say. All of you out there, we're averaging $7,300 per person debt in credit cards. I needed it to sink in, okay? Sink that in, okay? Because the have and have-nots, the middle class is getting ripped apart. I went over that yesterday. Check out the video yesterday. It's getting ripped apart. And the have-nots are going straight into poverty, right? Straight into poverty. Meanwhile, American medium households have just $5,300 in savings. So they're already upside down. Sounds like the government. The difference is that you can't keep printing money, but the government can print money, and they will. So it says debt levels are skyrocketing despite the fastest rise in interest rates in history. This is crazy, right? This is crazy. So let's jump to the next one. I know there's not a whole lot more to talk about. It just shows that we're in so much debt. And what am I saying to you? Yeah, you're probably laughing at me. Hey, Troy, you want us to be in more debt, but guess what? That asset is something that you can use, that you can put over your head, that you're gonna enjoy every single day, and it's gonna solve a problem and be a purpose in your life. If you buy an Apple stock or a Tesla share, or you go out and buy cryptocurrency, it's all it is a speculative asset that doesn't help you in your day-to-day. A house does. Think about it in those terms. If you're not thinking those terms, then you're not thinking straight. Because if you look back at the past, buying and selling homes, if you're looking in your parents' lives, those houses are typically, at least the money, if not the house, is carried down from generation to generation, or at least gets sold, and that money then gets regenerated into purchasing a new house. If you have no house, well, if you don't have a 401k, or even if you do, you're completely reliant on the stock market or other assets that do not handle a purpose on a day-to-day basis. Doesn't. No question about it. So as I'm kind of predicting, and I'm seeing a lot of people out there predicting, we're thinking the stock market as well as riskier assets are going to take a dump sometime this year. And if that happens, then your wealth will go down if you don't own a house. Will housing market go down? Well, let's go talk about that for a second. If you look back at the last 7 recessions, if the recession was caused by the housing market, which in 2008, 2009, 2000, it was caused by the mortgage industry, which is part of the housing market, yes, housing prices dropped. And dropped dramatically, 20, 30, 40, 50%. But if you look at the other recessions that were out there, the housing market stayed stable. Yes, stable. Why? Is because people still bought and sold homes. It wasn't the reason why. And if the Fed if our stock market completely crashes tomorrow, or there's a black swan event, what's the Fed gonna do? They're gonna drop rates in 2 seconds. And when they drop rates, they're gonna make it a seller's market. Even if credit isn't available, which we're gonna go over in a second, it doesn't matter. There's still so much money on the sidelines that will come in and scoop it up and keep prices at least stable, if not climbing and on the rise. So let's go over and look at the next article here. Housing market seller strike, I like how they use that word, seller strike, is so ruthless that only 7 of the nation's 200 largest markets are back to pre-pandemic inventory levels. Now, what does that mean, pre-pandemic inventory levels? Well, let's go to the article itself. It says 1,239,000 homes in the market in July of 2019. But in 2021, July of 2021, 2 years later, we had only 151 homes for sale. Now you're gonna say, okay, there was it was the bear flu that was out there, and that's why people took their homes off the market. Okay, that's 3 years ago, right? 2021 and 2020. That's 2 years ago, guys. 2 years ago. How many houses do you think are on the market today? Let's go look at it. Says, while the number of active listings for sale in July of 2023 is 646,000, it's 18% higher than 2021, but it is 48% compared to pre-pandemic levels of records of 2019. Think about that. We're 50% less homes than we were before. Why? Because people value their home so much more. When you have much harder times, where's your safety place? Where is your circle of life? It's in your house, right? Friends, family, in your home. Back in 2008, when credit was cheap, when you had 100% financing, you had no commitment to your house. It was a girl that you dated that you just decided, hey, you know what? I'm kind of tired of her. I'm just going to move on. But today it's like, well, I'm going to bring her in my circle of friends and circle of trust. And now I'm going to keep her because guess what? Now together, we're going to build a wealth even during the bad times. And that's what we're seeing in the numbers here. That's why we continue to look at headlines like the housing market seller strike. Seller strike means no sellers want to sell. Right? All right, so keep moving on here. All right, this is from CNBC, and that was from a little earlier this morning at 11:39. It says mortgage credit availability sinks to a decade low. Okay, why? Well, let's go look at it. Number one, there's so much less homes on the market, so much less sales because of that. But number two, we're losing lenders. Lenders are tapping out, they're closing their doors or consolidating. So there's less and less mortgages. And that seems to be the big issue. Number three, some lenders will only do the better loans. They won't take the riskier loans on because they know that they can get punished hard for it. So we have all these different excuses why mortgage Mortgage companies are not having credit availability. But I guarantee you, when we see the rates go down in the 5s, all of a sudden, mortgage credit's going to open completely up. The refi market's going to come back in a little bit of in somewhat of a way. When we get down to low 5s and high 4s, it's going to explode open. Doors are going to go. Everyone who was a mortgage lender who did refis back 2 years ago, who are now stocking shelves or flipping burgers, they're all going to come rushing back in and go, I can make money on just refis, because that's a low-hanging fruit. But credit availability today is sinking. I know that personally. We're getting all kinds of mailers and calls about, hey, why don't you pull money out of your house? That's, why don't you get a line of credit or a HELOC, or why don't you need money for this or money for that? Well, yeah, because we have, I have 40% loan to debt. Actually, probably have less than that, probably 30% loan to debt. And with that being said, it doesn't make any sense, right? It doesn't make any sense for me, but it makes sense for them because they can go and get me on a higher interest rate. So I'm not worried about mortgage credit availability seeing a decade low. I don't care. It's the rates are high, and it's because there's just not that demand that's there. But demand will be there. I predict by the end of the year, absolutely will be there. People will get off the sidelines and stop stocking shelves and become refi men again. All right, let's go look at the rates. We're looking at, conforming went down. Thank God it's under 7 now. Went down about 4.5 basis points, but not a whole lot. Jumbo is slowly going down. Saw a little bump in FHA. I was hoping that bump would have made FHA under 6.8. So kind of jumped it up 3.5 basis points. We're kind of seeing it steady. This week, like I said yesterday, we have the CPI print on Thursday, and then we have the PPI print on Friday. We also have, the unemployment is going to come out on Thursday as well. So Thursday's going to be a fairly big day in the market. But again, if you are sitting on the sidelines, you only have so many days in your life that you are able to qualify for a loan. Let me say that again. There's only so many days in your life you are able to qualify for a loan. Those days are going to be numbered quickly. And even if you're qualified for that loan, you will be competing in a limited supply market, which will then again push up values of homes. We just saw on Friday, CNBC reported, Diana Olick reported that 60% of all markets hit all-time highs in July. Think about that. Think about it. There's no crash coming. Crash bros, you're out of here. You've been out of here a year ago. You were out of here 6 months ago. You've been out of here. You've just burned all your follower base while they sit on the sidelines paying rent. You guys suck. I'm out.